All right, so I am excited with our guest today. So, Brad Rasmus, I guess I should have checked on the pronunciation of your last name. Is that how you say it,
Yeah,
Rasmus? All right,
yeah, that's it.
he is here with us from down under. So I've had a few folks out of Europe on the call, but you're the furthest guest so far. He is an intrepid world traveler, holistic health coach for 25 years, and a ketone biohacker. And he is here to tell us the first time story of how 19 years ago he found himself starting an online business way before it was cool. And so he's going to tell us how he got started with that and how much it impacted his life. Welcome.
Thanks for having me on. I think this is a really unique thing that you're doing. It's pretty cool. So yeah, happy to share. Um, so my wife is from Arizona, and I met her in Australia, in Sydney. And anyhow, we after we sort of went backwards and forwards working out if we were the right couple for each other, we decided that we were, and we wanted to basically move to a place where we were sort of on neutral ground. So we went to Japan, because I used to live in America when I was a kid. She lived here for about 6 months backwards and forwards, and it's just like, let's leave, let's just go do something out there. So we went to Japan, and we had an amazing time there. And within our last,
Wait, I got to ask, how did y'all pick Japan? Because that's very different from either places both of you are from.
Yeah, for sure. Well, I think it was, she'd been traveling that time through India and Southeast Asia for 5 months, and she'd met quite a lot of Westerners that were teaching English in different Asian countries, and Japan was one of the ones that stood out to her the most. And same with me. When we were talking all about, are we going to continue on this relationship and go somewhere? For me, the one that I really wanted to go to the most, if it was Asia, was Japan, because I'd been studying Japanese in school. I love Japanese food, love the language, and I was just like, yep, let's do it. Let's give that a go. And I'd been contacting all these people around the world in these different countries, asking if they thought that I'd be able to actually start up a business there as a personal trainer, because I was just doing personal training at the time and nothing outside of holistic health sort of stuff. But anyhow, bottom line is that yeah, I decided to go with Japan because everyone said that I couldn't do it. So I was just like, well, stuff it. I love that challenge. Let's do it. So I did that, and then but anyhow, we got to the end of our time in Japan, and then basically we decided that we didn't want to get married. Then we didn't want to move to America, and we didn't want to move to Australia. So we had to go somewhere, and we decided to basically go on a world trip. And we were like, okay, so how long can we make this world trip go for? How can we do it? Basically, we looked into the two different main airline subsidiaries. One's called One World, and the other one's called Star Alliance. One World allows you to do world trips. At the time, it was like $2,000 a ticket, 5 flights to all your major continents, and then also 2 domestic flights on each continent. Like, it was the best deal at the time.
Yeah, that's really cheap. Back then it was probably, even for back then, it seemed like that was quite affordable.
Yeah, it was amazing. So we decided to do that sort of trip. But then it was sort of like, well, how can we, like, we've made quite a lot of money living in Japan and saved quite a lot. And it was just sort of like, I don't want to spend all this on this trip. How can we sort of create a way of being able to still have that money, but just, I don't know, do something different? And, we verbalized what we wanted, and we sort of manifested this idea we had this other idea from a guy online who had a website at the time called letmestayforaday.com. And all he was doing was traveling around the world, staying at a different person's place every single day and writing a blog about his experience. I was just like, this is awesome. And this guy was then getting people connecting with him saying, hey, I see that you're in my country at the moment. Would you like to come and do my tourist attraction? And I was just sort of like, it just gave me the idea of like, okay, he's just having a bit of fun with this. What if we could actually go through and really create a massive holiday that allows us to be able to connect with all the different things that we want as a tourist? And that was, we needed accommodation, we needed food, and we needed touristy things to do. So basically, up to that stage, I'd been building websites from scratch for for 5 years, and my wife Bex was a pretty amazing writer. So we just decided to be able to combine the two things together, and instead of like doing something every single day, we basically created a site where we would write a blog about wherever we were in the blog for that entire week, and we would write it talking about where we'd stayed, what we'd eaten, and what touristy things we did.
Now
And
I'm sorry, let's just put it out. Like, what year is this?
So this is like 2003 or 4, I think it is, something like that.
Yeah, so blogs were just starting. I mean, people really didn't know all that much about them, and the website, the majority of businesses, they even have websites at the time. So you guys were definitely ahead of your time doing this.
Yeah, it was a bit like that, and it was when we go back and we think about what we've done and realize what we did, it sort of was it was a pretty big thing at the time. And at the time we were getting around about like 50,000 hits a week. We did have like a way to quantify, like Google Analytics didn't exist, but we had a way of quantifying the traffic that we were getting. So I didn't know that was good at the time, but I was just like, 50,000, that's quite a lot. I think it is. I don't know. Maybe it is, maybe it isn't. But bottom line is that we just decided to give it a go. And what we did was that we had a heap of photos and written stuff for our experience in Japan. We put that up. That started our website. And we just sent that off to the first couple of countries that we were thinking of going to. The first one was Indonesia, because I was just like, it's winter, this sucks, I want to go surfing, let's go to Indonesia. And so we sent off a message to all these Indonesian hotels saying, this is what we've got planned doing. We think there might be something about all of this sort of third-party validation, other people talking it up rather than just like a sales website thing. And the first company that we had that responded to us was the Hotel Intercontinental 5-star in Jimbaran Bay in Indonesia. And if anyone's that's watching this has ever been there, it's a pretty swanky place. Anyways, they said to us, yes, we would love to have you for the full week. We don't want you with any of our competition. And so we basically got a week in 5-star with, massages. Like, it was insane. It's absolutely insane. So we're just like, wow, this could really work. And it was great. So basically from there on, we just continued to connect with all these different people. And whilst we were in Indonesia, we had there was a writer there working for a travel book called not The Lonely Planet, that's the Australian version, but there's another one called, it's a European one.
Sorry, I can't help you out. I don't know.
There's another travel book
magazine. We'll go with that.
Yeah, some travel magazine, but it was a book. But we got sponsored by them, and essentially they would send us a book in advance in the country before we were going to, so that we could look at it, look at all of the emails and contact details, and then send emails to all these other places saying, this is us. This is what we're doing, because there was no Facebook or anything like that. There wasn't even TripAdvisor or any of that sort of stuff. So it just worked out really, really amazingly well, because probably 90% of our trip was free accommodation, maybe 30% food, and then definitely 90% touristy stuff. We did some crazy things there, and as far as stuff we wouldn't have paid for by ourselves. I mean, 5-star trips on a boat down the River Nile with a personal chef. Who the hell does that? Jumping off cliffs in Rio de Janeiro, doing hang gliding, and I don't know, just staying in some really eclectic places. It was a cool experience, I got to say. So
amazing.
It really allowed us to then know what the power of online work was, and then up to this day now, a huge part of everything that I have done has all been online, because you can connect with so many more people. You can create a bigger community than what you can one-on-one and just people face-to-face where you live.
So I'm just curious, because you were so at the edge of being upfront when probably especially as a couple, probably the first few to do it. So I'm curious about a couple of things. One is, how long did you do it for?
So we did it for a year and a half because basically we bought that 1 year travel thing through whatever they're called, One World. So we bought our round the world tickets for a year, but we didn't think that was long enough. So we tacked on like another 6 months worth of individual trips and stuff. So it was for a year and a half, and then by that stage, we were actually pretty sick of traveling by then, and we'd been in Japan for several years as well. And it was just like, you know what, now it's time to get married. So we did.
After going through all of that, yeah, we finally figured out you're rather compatible with each other. Now,
Totally.
and then you've seen everything come on the scene. So Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, like everything change in so many blogs. And I mean, now everything is saturated. It's just a lot of noise, and getting through that is quite difficult. So what are your thoughts on how things have progressed and where they're at now?
Well, I think like the technology that we have now to do what we want to do it's insane, absolutely insane. Like when I think back to when we were sending emails to a massive email list, and how much of a challenge even that was sometimes, because it would sort of block you for the number that you could send, and then you had to send it again later. And Skype was atrocious. I remember very vividly being like in I think somewhere in Southeast Asia, trying to just talk with friends from home and stuff like that, and it was terrible. You know, the quality was it's crap. No mobile phones, so no convenience of taking a photo, uploading it, none of that. It was all, you take photos with your big camera, you'd have to upload them to your computer, you'd have to edit them, you crop them, whatever, all that stuff. That was a mission. But it was all worth it in the end, because we made some amazing connections all around the world. We stayed and did some things that we thought we'd never do. And I think that if you've got someone that's thinking you're doing online business right now, and they're up in arms about, oh, maybe I should do this, it's too much work, or it's this and that. It's not too much work. It was a lot of work. Now it's easy as, and you've got a captive audience now. I mean, around the world at the moment, everyone is online. I've had like 2,000 new friend requests in the last week and a bit, and it's insane. So I think that, yeah, it's in answer to your question, yeah, things have massively changed, but it's definitely way easier to do everything now for sure.
That's that's so interesting. Getting your your outlook on this, because having started so long ago, but long ago, my first blog post, I would say, was in 2005 or 2006 was my
Okay,
first.
yeah.
That was my first blog post, and I definitely know I started. It was called Why Go Solo. So my first tech startup was in 2006, and it was all like, I saw that in the future people were going to meet online and start interacting offline, right? So meet online, make the connection. So Why Go Solo was designed to help you make that connection online to then go hang out offline. And we had everything plugged into Twitter, to Facebook. As soon as you posted on our site, it went everywhere else. And unfortunately, we were ahead of our time. And I remember going to venues. So I was trying to get the venues to give me some tickets. So, because the way it worked on Why Go Solo, you would create an event and then find somebody to go with, and then create a handshake to go with them. So I went to venues and I was like, hey, give me some extra tickets. And then the people will post about wanting to go. So I went to the Washington Capitals, right? And I said, look, you have a hockey game coming up, give us a couple tickets. And people are going to say, I'm looking for somebody to go to this game at this time, this location, this date. And it's going to go to their news feed. I'm like, forget the ads. The ads will no longer work. Everything will go through the news feed. I'm telling people this in 2006. People are like, what are you talking about? I'm like, social media is the future, and this is what's going to happen. It was like, people didn't get it. And unfortunately, I should have moved to Silicon Valley, where I would have had a better chance of raising a seed round to get
Yeah.
off the ground. But yeah, I did not. That didn't
Okay,
happen.
that sounds like an awesome idea too. There's plenty of them out there, isn't there?
Yeah, I mean, now, yeah, it's a lot more common, but I think with the 365 First Challenge, at some point in the future, people will be able to connect together to go have first times together, to share in the first time. So
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll bring back the whole people connecting together, but it was just, yeah, it was interesting back then talking to people. That's why, like, I'm very fascinated because I know talking to people, they were so clueless about all of this stuff. So I'm impressed, like the hotels and all of those other places were embracing it and understanding, like, yeah, there's going to be value to this. I'm impressed with that.
Yeah,
Yes.
that was really interesting because we just didn't know how it was going to work. But you know, for me, it's always there's no failure, only feedback. So we just kept getting lots of feedback all the time, and then like the first place that we went to, sorry, I think we went from Indonesia then to Australia to spend time with our families and stuff. Then we went from Australia to South America. So we flew into Chile, and basically a lot of the books that we had, the travel books, had very little communication connection with a lot of the hotels and the just everything in South America. So my wife is half Mexican and her Spanish is pretty good. And basically I just went straight into, I was studying my ass off because basically in Chile, from Chile onwards, we'd then go and meet people face to face and then do our pitch in Spanish, and then learn how to be able to do it all through there. And we had one of the most amazing trips, especially all through Chile. But there were some other crazy things that happened then, like as far as I think it's just once we sort of put out there what we wanted, we really started attracting it, like so much so that we're in Indonesia, knowing that we were about to go to, actually, sorry, we went to Philippines before Australia, knowing we were about to go to the Philippines. We jumped on a plane in between two islands in Indonesia, and I sat down next to the head of tourism for all of the Philippines. This is like a 30-minute flight. And I told her what we were doing, and she was just like up in arms, like, oh my God, this is so amazing. And she hooked us up throughout the whole country with all this free accommodation, and like it just all started happening like that. And it was pretty mind blowing, I gotta say. Something
Oh
I don't think we could ever
man.
replicate again. But it just made me then realize how much power there is in the internet, and then hence why I do so much on the internet now, working as a health coach with people one-on-one and in groups, and then also selling products and things like that. It's insane that you can, yeah, it's crazy.
So I take it you've never had like a regular job, like an office job, like a regular thing. It's like,
No, so when I first left high school, I went and had a carpentry apprenticeship. So I was going through the process of learning how to be a builder, and then I went and then I quit that because the employer that I had still to this day is the biggest idiot I've ever met in my life. So I was like, I'm getting out of this one. But I did roof tiling for a year, and then basically after that, I was like, I'd love to be able to continue to work outside, but not do this. So I got into personal training, but personal training didn't exist then. I just worked at a gym as a gym floor person. And then, but then I went to university. So I did 4 years of uni as an exercise scientist and human movement specialist. And then after that, then that's when basically I then decided to never work for anyone again and just start working for myself and creating things online. And yeah, it's been pretty cool. Been pretty
that's
fun.
awesome, man. What a life. All right. So we're going to move into the first time lightning round. And um, I went digging trying to, I know some of the things you're going to say you've done. So we're going to get some more stories out of you, but
Yeah.
I'm hoping out of 10, I have at least one you've never done. So we shall see.
Okay.
All right.
All right.
So the way it works is if you've already done it, you would swipe up. So you just say up or done it. If you've never done it, not interested, then it's left. And if you've never done it and would like to do it, then it's right. So here we
All right.
go.
Done it. Not interested. Yep. Done.
Yeah. All
Okay.
right. So bid at an auction.
Yeah, I want to do that. Definitely.
All right. I'm just happy I found something you haven't done. Okay. Make a candle.
Yes, I've done that with my daughter.
All right. Awesome. Uh, go line dancing.
I have done that. Yes.
All
Yep, I
right.
did. Oh
Tell
my
us about
God, I
your
did that. That was terrible. Actually, I did that in Colorado.
You just, there's more to the story. Was it like obviously it was a country bar, just walked in, it was
It was a
happening, or?
country bar. It was a country bar. I'd never been. I'd met some people on a cruise around the Caribbean, and I met them in Colorado when I was going back to travel there another time. And they basically took me to a country place. I said, I really don't know anything about country music, and yeah, I felt like a complete idiot trying to do the dance. But apparently, it was one really famous country band that was there, and I actually went out the back VIP and met all these guys. But I don't know who they were. But yeah, it was pretty fun. It was cool.
Awesome. All right. Build an igloo.
Oh wow, yeah, I love all that stuff. I'd love to do that. 100%.
All right. Scuba dive.
Oh yeah, I've done that lots. Yeah.
Yeah, I figured that. Well, now, what was your first time?
First time. First time was first time was in Sydney in a place called Manly. I was starting my PADI license, learning how to scuba dive and all that there. And then I actually completed the whole thing in a place called Koh Tao in Thailand.
All right.
So
And I'm
scuba
sure,
diving.
yeah, so I'm sure you've seen the Great Barrier Reef. I mean, it's back home,
Yes.
of
Yeah, I have
course.
seen that. It's unfortunate. It's not quite the same as what it used to be a long time ago. But yeah, I've seen it. It's pretty awesome.
Yeah,
Yeah.
awesome. All right. Ride a bull.
Ride a bull. Yeah, I've only ever done the fake one, so I would like to do
The
the real
real
thing.
one?
Yeah.
Well, at least I haven't even done a fake one. So um,
You
that's
haven't done a fake one? Oh, okay, right.
no. So this thing virus, it was, so I run the 365 First Challenge meetup group for Las Vegas, and I found a country bar that has line dancing. Well, I've done line dancing before, but so we're gonna do line dancing lessons and then do the ride the mechanical bull. So I had to cancel it. It'll get back on the list. Yeah. All right. So take an improv class.
I have not done that, and would I like to do that? I think I would like to do that. I do love telling a joke or two. So yeah,
All
done.
right. Excellent. Roast your own coffee.
No, I've never done that. I don't drink coffee. I don't
Don't
like
drink
it.
coffee.
So
So that's getting a left. All right. Play the flute.
nah, not interested in that.
Not
I play
interested in that.
guitar, I play guitar, but flute doesn't really grab me. Nah.
Yeah. Hold a snake.
Oh no, I don't like snakes. I actually, oh my god. Yeah, I actually did recently when I was redoing a course in what I'm certified as what's called an NLP practitioner. I did some mindset work on changing my mind around snakes, and within that particular time period, I was like, yeah, hell yeah, I want to give me one now. I'll pick it up. I feel totally fine. Now that I'm thinking about it, I'm going back to my old belief systems around. No, can't do that with
No,
snakes. It's
not
bad.
happening.
But
All right.
yeah, I don't know. Snakes are weird.
That's
What
fair
about you?
enough.
Have you put a snake around your neck or anything?
I have never put one around my neck, but I've held one before.
You have.
Yeah. There's,
Yeah.
I mean, they freak me out a little bit, but it's not like, I have to say, there's very little that I won't do. Like I'm just, and if I'm scared, so ever since I was 9 years old, so when I was 9 years old, I got locked in a bathroom with my worst fear, with a spider. My stepmom would not let me out until I killed the spider. And
Oh,
yeah, and I was going nuts trying to get out. And then a voice, to me, it was God, talked to me,
yeah,
and it said, you can be trapped by your fears or you can be freed by facing them.
yeah,
So I killed the spider. I was set free. And then I decided I was going to spend my life facing my fears and chasing after them. So I pretty much nothing scares me because of that. Cause I just know, hey,
that's
just going to
great.
do it.
That's awesome. That's
Yeah.
cool. Very
So,
cool.
all right. So a couple other things. One other thing is the prompt of the day. So that's really you're gonna have a tough time with this one. Ooh, and it might not
Oh,
actually work for you because you haven't really had a regular job. Well, a few of them. But the
yeah.
prompt is your first promotion.
My first promotion that I had to do at a job.
Yeah.
Well, it would have been the ones that come to mind. Being on the phone promoting. Oh, sorry, no,
Like, oh,
promoting.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I don't think I've ever had that. I've never had when people talk about, oh yeah, I got this and I got that, and no, that I've never had to experience any of that
That's
stuff.
fascinating. That's very rare. Wow. Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, that's always strange to me hearing people talk about that stuff. But yeah, no, I've never had that, so can't say
Yeah. My
that.
my first, yeah, wow, 24 years in the Marine Corps. So my first promotion was definitely while in the Marine Corps, getting promoted in
Right.
rank. So yeah, that goes down
Okay.
as the
Right.
first, because it's the first promotion. Um,
Yeah.
yeah.
Uh,
Now, and probably hasn't had much of an impact on you either because you're working from home. But how has the COVID-19 pandemic changed things for you, or how you're making the best of the situation?
well, it's quite positive actually. Like it's been awesome because yeah, I'm a very positive-minded guy, and as far as I know that I affect people and I lead people to better versions of themselves all the time with what I do as a health pro. So I've taken the the action of every single day I've been putting up a post, at least on social media, on Instagram and Facebook, talking about how I've got a what's it called? An immune strengthening post of the day. So my gift zone is as a health professional. So I'm just putting up stuff, changing people's opinions and their ideas on what things they can do to be the best, healthiest version of themselves at the moment, because that's what a lot of people are really needing, so that they know that they don't, actually get the virus. So I've been doing like that, and as a result of doing that, it's allowed me to connect with a ton of people around the world that have all specifically seen those posts and said, I became friends with you because I love the health stuff you were putting out. I was like, great. So that's been really cool. And then what was the other thing that I was going to say? So remind me there once more. Sorry, my mind just got lost there for a second.
How it's changed things and how you're making the best of it. Yeah.
That's right. Yeah. So I've had a few clients that have had to pull back and not seeing me face to face because their businesses have completely shut down. Like I've got a dentist and an osteopath that are both clients, and they both had to completely pull out, which is cool for now. And then, but I've got a lot of people online that are still working with me. And my main business, representing a company from the States called Prove It, has gone ballistic. My business has grown in Sweden and in the Middle East in particular. So get that. But that's been very interesting to see that all happen. So really, I'm actually in a good position. I feel really good mentally, and I'm pretty excited actually about what this is really going to do for, I think, just people in general around the world, forcing them to have to be more present with themselves and their family, have to think about their health more. Bunch of different things. I think it's doing some amazing things. There are tons of butterflies out here in the air at the moment. I haven't seen butterflies forever. Like I think the earth is a little bit happier. So
Well,
things like that.
how close were you to the fires, to all the
The first biggest one that came about was actually 5 minutes from my house. So I just, one afternoon, I was just like, what the heck's that big red thing going on over there? And my daughter and I jumped on the top of our roof, and it was just like, oh my God, what the hell's going on? And one of my friends had a drone, and he was flying the drone over the top of it, and he was showing us exactly what was going on. And yeah, it was pretty scary stuff. So that was sort of like the start of it, and it was a pretty big fire up here, but then the rest of the country just it caught a light, went ballistic, and it was really, really bad time. Not good at all, like so many people are still majorly suffering now because they don't have any homes, they got nothing. So to have that, and then to have ridiculous floods, ridiculous hail, and now the virus, we're sort of like wanting to reset 2020. It's just get rid of 2020, move on to the next one.
As a whole, hasn't exactly been good. So all right, well, don't want to end on a downer note, but
no. But no, I think it's an exciting time though, really, to be honest. I think it's a great time to connect with amazing people all around the world that are they're looking for connection too. And I think that's one thing that's massively even though we're doing it all online, it's one thing that's massively been missing for years because of the amount of extra online stuff that so many of us have been doing, not
Yeah.
spending face-to-face time, real time with people.
I
So,
think that's why I'm really enjoying these interviews, like meeting people that one I wouldn't have met otherwise, but to hear the stories and their background, where they're coming from. And, you know, you just, when somebody really shares a story and more about themselves, it goes much deeper than what you see on Facebook or what you see otherwise. And it's also why I do the daily prompts, so that people have, like real conversation of connecting with friends, family, or just
yeah.
overall on social media. So I've definitely been trying to get the communication get a little deeper than what people have been used to. So I really appreciate you joining me and sharing
Thanks.
all of that great stuff about yourself. It was a lot of fun.
No, thanks for inviting me. That was really cool, really unique. And yeah, look forward to seeing the other ones that you do as well. Thank you very much for having
Awesome.
me on.